Hi all, Lloyd Rieber here again with a quick follow-up to my last video where I introduced the LiveCode programming language while talking about the topic of computational thinking. In that video, I mentioned how I use LiveCode for both work and play. Well, after I made the last video, I found myself playing with the sorting app I built. In particular, I quickly programmed a way to create a random sort of the names. To do so requires an understanding of a few more programming principles, especially how to create a looping structure. And of course, it introduces the skill of how to create random numbers. I had a lot of fun, so I thought I'd make this short video as a quick follow-up. Okay, let me start by demonstrating the final products here. In fact, you see I have two buttons down here. One says random order. This is the one that actually works. But then there's another one that I've titled flawed random order, and you'll see why. Let me go ahead and press that, and you'll see what it does. So you might say, well, yeah, look, it took those names on the left and made them made a random list. But if you look a little closer, you'll notice that Luke Skywalker is here 3 times. Peter Pan is here twice. Let me do it again. So I get a very different list, very much a random order. But again, I have Luke here 3 times, Dorothy Gale here twice. So what's happening here? And I can empty that out if I want. So yeah, so let me go into edit mode, go to this button and go to the code of this. And so it was a first step in getting this to work, but let's just see what's happening. Now there are 11 names. And so you can see that on mouse up, end mouse up, we talked about that in the last video. It says put the number of lines in field list 1 into a variable called L. So this is the list 1 over here. And the number of lines, well, there's one name per line. So there are 11. So, and it puts empty into this other field over here. This is list 2, this field over here. And then it repeats, well, L times. So L is going to be 11. And so it's going to repeat this 11 times. So it just goes in a loop over and over and over. So it says put any line of field list 1 after field list 2. So it does just that. Any line, any is a way to do a random number. It's not the way I'm going to show you in a second that actually makes the system, the program work, but it's kind of a cool little command. It will just take any of those particular lines, and it takes it from the field 1 and puts it after field list 2. So just whatever was there before, it puts it after that. Notice I then have another line that says put return after field list 2, and I'll explain again why that's important. By the way, I commented out the wait 1 second. In fact, I'm going to take out the comments or the 2 slashes that turn something into a comment. So let me go ahead and show this again with the wait now turned on. So let me go ahead and apply that change to the code. Go over here, go into run mode, flawed random order. So I've slowed it down now, and you can see that it's taking just one of the names, one of the lines from the left, and we don't know which one. So the problem is it doesn't know that it's not allowed to repeat one of the particular lines. There's nothing in the code that says to avoid repeating the same thing. Okay. By the way, too, if I go back to the code here, I put return after field list 2 on a separate line. I can combine that with the first line, but let me comment this out, and I'll just show you why that's important. Let me go back over here, and I'll go ahead and do the flawed random order. And so what's happening, it's actually putting each line from the left and attaching it to really just the first line that start off with Winnie the Pooh. And if I go into edit mode and let's make this window bigger and this field bigger, you'll see what I mean. All right, so it just keeps adding it without putting a return afterwards. So that's a problem. So that's why we have that one command. But I just wanted to show you, get this back like so, that I can actually put this return, again, it's just a carriage return, or it's the equivalent to hitting the return button or the enter button. I can actually add that to this line right here. So put, well, any line of field list 1 and a return. So now I don't need to have that. And again, I'll turn off the wait at this particular point. I will apply that, go back over here into run mode, and let's try that again. So yeah, so it kind of works, but obviously it's flawed for sure. So let me empty that out. Now let me show you the random order. Let me make this field the same size as it was before. Here we go. Go to run mode. Okay, random order. Okay, so I think you'll see if you scan this list of names that it took the names from the left at random and made a list on the right, but did not repeat the names. Now you notice that the left-hand side now mirrors the right-hand side. And I'll show you how I did that, but if I sort it again, just to show that it is now in a alphabetical order by last name, if I press random order and keep doing it, you can see that whatever the random order gets here on the right gets put onto the left. Now, how is this one working? So let me go ahead and go into edit mode and go to this button and go to the code of that button. First off, I'm going to go ahead and you can see I've commented out the wait 1 second. Let me take that out so that it take out the comment so it actually does wait 1 second. I'll apply that. And let's see what's happening this time when I do it. So random order. See, you didn't notice that before. It went so fast. It actually deletes the name from the left-hand side as it goes. So whatever name is taken is removed. So when it goes in the next loop, that name won't be there for it to choose a second time. And then I just said, go ahead and put the list of names over here on list 2. Put it into list 1, and that's what this right here does. Put field list 2 into field list 1. So it just kind of puts those names back. And again, I had a wait there. If I take that out, apply it, you'll see again that it'll have an extra wait at the very end. And here we go. And maybe I don't need to wait 1 full second, maybe a half a second. All right, there's a little wait there, and then it puts it over there. Okay, so yeah, so let's take a look at this a little bit in more detail. Okay, let me extend this window a bit to the right so you see everything. And by the way, too, I should have pointed out just how nice and easy it is to understand a wait 1 second. I could have said wait, well, I could, obviously 2, 3, 4, 10 seconds. But maybe change that to 0.5 seconds. So that's how LiveCode is. It actually kind of tells you, the command is almost as if you're telling it what to do. So let's take a look at this. So as before, it says put the number of lines in field list 1 into L, which is a variable holding that number 11. So again, looks at how many lines are used over here, and it's going to repeat that the same number of times. So you can see that I'm going to repeat this loop here a total of 11 times. Then it says put random, and then in parentheses, the number of lines in field list 1. It's the same construction that's up here. And so it's going to put 11 again into this particular, into this variable called var random. You might say, well, why are you doing it again, Lloyd? Well, you'll see in a second, I'm going to be deleting a name after every loop. So every time I go through the loop, the number of lines is going to be changing from 11 to 10 to 9, 8, 7, and so on, okay? So I'm going to, whatever that number is, in this case 11, it puts it into this variable called var random, and then it says put line var random. So, and again, it could be any number from 1 to 11. So random and then a number in parentheses. The computer picks a random number from 1 to whatever that number might be. So then it takes that random line, put line, well, maybe it's 4. So line 4 of field list 1 and puts it after field list 2. Then I'm putting a return after that, like I showed in the last one. I wait 5 seconds in order to just show what's happening, but then I delete that very same line. So var random hasn't changed. As I go through this loop here, if it was 4, it stays, var random stays 4 all the way through. So when it gets to this line, it actually deletes that particular line from the first list. Then it repeats again, but this time it's only going to have 10 names in the list. So it's going to put random, well, the number of lines in field list 1 is going to be 10 into that. And so it's going to repeat this every single time until it puts random 1, and of course it will just pick 1 at that particular point. So it's, again, a kind of a nice little routine that kind of shows how you can, again, use some computational thinking to think about, okay, I want a name picked at random, but I don't want that name picked a second time until I have all the names chosen, and then I can have a nice random list. So let's go back over here, and I'll leave that at 1 second. In fact, let me put this down to maybe 0.2 seconds. And let me apply that, and let me go ahead and run it. Yeah, there it goes. And I waited 1 second before it put that same list back over there. So kind of a nice, satisfying random approach to making a random list of, in this case, names. Okay, well, hope you enjoyed it. Happy coding.